Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. My name is Callie Knabley. I am the project manager for ICBA Independent Banker Magazine, and I have the pleasure of introducing our three speakers for today's webinar event, sponsored by BoardPaq. Our first speaker today is Tiffany Paubel. Tiffany has helped companies go paperless for over a year as an account representative for BoardPaq. She conducts training sessions and caters to each customer's needs, helping maximize user confidence while assisting administrators in their paperless transition. Tiffany strives to further BoardPaq's brand by actively communicating customer requests and enjoys meeting with current and prospective customers at industry-leading events across the U.S. Luanne Cundiff, our second speaker, is the Executive Vice President of First State Bank. Luanne has 22 years of experience in the banking industry and has been with First State Bank for 18 years. She currently serves as the board chair of the St. Charles County Workforce Investment Board and as treasurer of the Barnes Jewish St. Peter's Progress West Foundation Board. Luanne also serves on the Missouri Bankers Association's Legislative Committee. Last but not least, we will hear from Alan Groh, BoardPaq's Chief Technology Officer. He has been working in technology fields for more than 40 years, specializing in cloud and mobile technologies, commercial software development, enterprises software, development process improvement, and much, much more. So with our introductions and housekeeping items complete, Tiffany, I will turn the presentation over to you.
All right, thank you. On behalf of everyone at BoardPaq, we welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we'll discuss BoardPaq's history, see a product overview, review successes in the community banking industry, and hear about BoardPaq security from BoardPaq's CTO. To wrap things up, we will discuss next steps and today's special offer for listeners. Feel free to type in questions during the presentation. We will answer them as time allows and follow up after as well. BoardPaq is a secure, affordable, and easy-to-use iPad and web app application for paperless board meetings. The company was founded in 2010, and we released the first version in August of 2011. Since then, as you can see on the left, we have grown to over 400 customers and over 10,000 paperless users. BoardPaq's management team has more than 65 years of experience in financial services and IT industries. At BoardPaq, we are community-focused. Our CEO and founder is a longtime resident of St. Charles, Missouri, his hometown. He is active in a wide range of businesses and civic organizations in the community and serves on the board of CAS Information Systems. BoardPaq's offices are located on historic Main Street in St. Charles, Missouri. We have had great success in the community banking industry, and we are an ICBA corporate associate member. From the chart here, you can see our customers are in nearly every state of the U.S., and more than half of BoardPaq's customer base are financial institutions. Now that you've heard our history, let's take a closer look at BoardPaq. We use the latest technologies to give BoardPaq's iPad and web app the same user interface. Board members from organizations using BoardPaq services are able to view meeting information and documents on the device of their choice. We will view a director perspective from the iPad app today. To access materials, directors must log in using their credentials set up by the admin. The directors will enter their email and password to log in. In this example, we turn on two-factor authentication. Once these credentials are accepted, that person will receive a text message via their cell phone and would enter that additional token to log in. Two-factor is an optional add-on for organizations that want to enhance security. Two-factor does apply to all users logging in. Once logged in, users will see their home screen. Here, they will see their information, including the list of groups or committees they're a part of. They can see any news and announcements posted by the administrator. Users can also answer polling questions and complete tasks for meetings. You'll see on the left-hand side of the screen displaying a meeting calendar. Here, users can tap on a meeting to open the content. Keep in mind, users will only see meetings they are invited to based on the list of groups or committees they are on. Once the meeting is open, you can see meeting information at the top, date, time, location, Users can RSVP for their response here as well. And they can also tap the Download All button to download these documents securely to the device, which makes them available in the offline mode. Once in the agenda, users can follow along during the meeting and click each document to reference their own notes. Users can add agenda item notes or take part in discussions by tapping on each agenda item. Once in discussion, users can securely communicate with other directors before, during, or after the meeting. Keep in mind the administrators can turn this feature on or off at any time and manage it per meeting. Here, users can share their thoughts and questions with the group and view other comments in real time. Once a document is open, directors will see the annotation toolbar at the top of the page. This is an example of a PDF file. Here, users can add their highlights, add circles and shapes to draw, add type notes or sticky notes as they read through the document. Once again, these notes are personal and private to this user and this device. As directors add notes to their documents, BoardPaq will keep track of the pages through bookmarks. Annotated pages are listed here, so you can quickly reference those in the meeting. This will also support headlines or bookmarks saved into the PDF by the admin. BoardPaq will give users instant access to directory information where you can view the contact info for each director. Here you can also see the committees that each person belongs to. BoardPaq's library is a great place to store general reference documents for your users. With your BoardPaq account, you do have unlimited storage, so admins can keep years of bylaws, policies, and other documents here for directors to reference. The library is general access for all users unless the admin restricts categories to certain groups or committees. Now that we've seen a director perspective, let's take a look at how this is all put together. Through BoardPaq's Admin Center, it enables your board admin to quickly and easily manage meetings on the web. Administrators can add users to the account. Here they can check or uncheck the Allow Login box at any point, which is useful if the director leaves the board. There can be multiple administrators for each account. The administrator box can be checked at any time or to add someone as a backup admin. The librarian role is for users that will upload general reference documents to just the library. With BoardPaq, administrators are easily able to track activity and document downloads. This will take the guesswork out for administrators who wonder if their directors have received their materials. After the account directory is set up, you will organize everyone into groups or committees. Within BoardPaq, this is unlimited, so you can use it for committee meetings, leadership meetings, or staff meetings as well. You will manage the members for each group here. Under the Meetings tab, administrators can now schedule new meetings or edit previous ones. When scheduling a meeting, you will select one group or committee to have access to the meeting information. From here, you will now want to upload documents to the meeting, clicking the Docs button to the right. Documents can be added in any order, and the order can be changed using the drag and drop arrows on the left-hand side of the screen. There is a reload button, so admins can use this if any last-minute changes should occur. Administrators are able to control individual access to documents. By default, everyone on the group or committee is able to view the information, but here administrators can restrict users if they wish. After uploading documents to a meeting, administrators can create and save agendas using Agenda Builder. This is where documents are attached to agenda items, so directors can easily follow along during the meeting. If administrators use Agenda Builder, they also like to create their minutes within BoardPaq as well. Using Minutes Builder, administrators can record notes under each agenda item as the meeting is taking place. Admins can keep track of resolutions and create assignments for individual users. When recording resolutions, admins are able to specify which director moved, seconded, and indicate if the resolution passed or failed. Once the minutes have been edited, administrators can release the draft of minutes to directors. Users will scroll through the draft of minutes and can add their approval yes or no and notes for the admins to view. Administrators can archive their meetings into one large PDF containing the agenda, minutes, and PDF documents. With the archived copy, you can now store the meeting on your own computer, print a hard copy for historical purposes, or provide a copy of the meeting to auditors. From the Stage button, admins can publish or unpublish the meeting information at any time. Administrators can notify directors of a new scheduled meeting and inform them when the draft of minutes are available for approval. Here you can turn discussion on or off as well. Administrators will manage security options for each account. They can control things like PDF printing for iPad users and set the number of days offline documents will expire. Users can receive email notifications for tasks if turned on for the account, and you can activate a password help link for users as well. Admins can set the minimum length of passwords and set the number of months before a password expires. They can also control the login attempts and lockout duration. Now that we've viewed a brief overview of Admin Center, let's take a look at some of the BoardPaq successes in the community banking industry. Here are a few examples of banks and how they've benefited from BoardPaq. Sevier County Bank has reduced their meeting times by 50% and dramatically reduced the number of printed pages by 1,000 pages per month. They've become better prepared for meetings and increased efficiencies, all thanks to BoardPaq. As you can see here, Fox Valley State Bank found BoardPaq to be a user-friendly and cost-effective solution for their board. I will now pass things over to Luanne Cundiff of First State Bank. They have been using BoardPaq since August of 2012. Luanne will describe her overall experience and implementation process with BoardPaq.
Thank you, Tiffany. Before we get started on my experiences with BoardPaq, let me first give you a little history on myself and my bank, just so you know what perspective I bring to the table. First and foremost, I am definitely a strong advocate of community banking, of course, on both a local and national level. We all know of the important roles community banks play in our communities, from providing corporate leadership to being a great source of volunteerism and philanthropy. In most cases, we are the economic backbone to the communities in which we live and work. Yet with that, we have seen industry consolidation continue due to various pressures, be it regulatory, competitive pressures, and the like. We have witnessed the so-called mega banks and super regional banks end up with over 85% of industry assets. So there are many community banks, but yet we control only a minority of the nation's deposits. So for the small to survive, we as community bankers must engage strong boards and management teams. We need to be flexible during changing environments while being the visionaries that carry out our well thought out strategies. And of course, we need to develop the most efficient processes to ensure our business models are carried out to the fullest. So I'm here today to explain our implementation of a system that I believe has allowed us to gain efficiencies in very critical areas of our bank: board meetings, loan committee meetings, audit and compliance meetings, compensation committee meetings. The amount of time we have saved the highly compensated personnel, the executive team, the lenders, compliance staff has been tremendous. And the efficiencies we have gained throughout the process allow our teams to concentrate on our business model rather than the mechanics of the meetings and the minutes. I helped get the BoardPaq system up and running in our bank, so I know the ins and outs of the system, but I'm also a user as I am a member of our board and related committees. Prior to BoardPaq, our CEO, myself, and our administrative assistants would spend way too much time gathering, sorting, copying, and sending out this very confidential information. It is not something that just anyone can do due to the confidential nature of the information. So I will give you an overview not only of our bank, but of the process that we use to implement BoardPaq. And of course, many of my comments are my own opinion and not that of our bank. We are a $270 million bank, but we have 10 offices in 2 states, 5 full-service banking centers, and 5 mortgage loan production offices, with the majority of loans being sold to the secondary market. Including the mortgage unit, we currently have about 170 employees, just to give you a perspective of our financial institution. We have 7 members on our board. Our youngest is 42 years old, and the oldest is 70 years old. Additionally, the range of knowledge regarding the use of an iPad and technology in general was vast, from one person rarely even sending an email to one knowing everything about using an iPad. So when we first tossed around the idea of iPads, I had to silently chuckle, wondering how on earth we were going to get not only the buy-in of all of the users, but to get them to commit to using it. But we currently use BoardPaq for our board meetings and the 3 different committee meetings, the loan, audit, compensation committees, which includes additional staff at our bank. We do use a library feature for our policies, and we include underwriting guidelines for our loan meetings, which serve as a quick reference during our loan meetings. For each meeting, we provide all documents and information to our board members via BoardPaq 5 business days prior to the meetings. This allows our board and the related committee members to maximize their efficiency both in and out of the boardroom. Regarding the loan committee meetings, our lenders submit their loans 2 days prior. The agenda is built, the meeting is held, and our minutes are now finalized at the end of the meeting. And now we can load the agenda and the attachments and create one PDF file for easy audit and examiner review. Regarding the implementation of BoardPaq, we started using the product in August 2012. 8 months prior to that, we went from a paper-based system to one that we had internally developed via a secure web link that we purchased from our core processor. The paper method obviously was very expensive. It was completely inefficient, with time spent printing and gathering and sorting and distributing the packets and shredding all of the documents after the meetings. The electronic method we had developed worked, but it lacked the efficiency and was definitely not user-friendly at all. When I started talking to the folks at BoardPaq, it was the security features and the ease of use that attracted me to it. So in the essence of time, I will just bullet point important tips and things we learned through the process. Much of this isn't even related to BoardPaq itself, but will reference the deployment of what may be new technology for your board members or other users. So I will start by providing tips and then explain how we implemented all of those points. So I would narrow this down to the 3 P's of implementation. First of all, to plan. Plan for the deployment of iPads and make decisions early on. Brainstorm on what decisions you even need to make and complete your vendor due diligence and your risk assessment. Regarding security, create and prepare to communicate your iPad usage policy to the users, what to do in the event it is lost and stolen, iPad password requirements, etc. Regarding users, who will be responsible for purchasing the iPads and who will own them? Will the bank own them or will the user own them? And how will you handle the Apple ID? Prepare. Know the system prior to deployment and prepare training for users. Prepare explanations of why you are considering the change. In my opinion, it is critical to get the buy-in of the users. The cost of the system, but ultimately what you will see is the net savings your bank will ultimately experience. And the security of the system. Board packages delivered via mail can cause confidential information issues. There are situations where, in our case, our board members were sometimes out of town, so we would have to figure out a way to get it to them without it sitting in their mailbox for too long. And the efficiency of staff. Time saved in sorting, printing, delivering, and shredding. You need to calculate all of that and make your decisions based on some of those items. And proceed slowly. In my opinion, this is the best way to go about it. Do not expect every user to be as excited about a new system as you might be. The point to the slow implementation, going from paper or even some sort of electronic system, and obviously we did both, as I just mentioned, to that iPad delivery can be a big change for some of them. Proceeding slowly provided us a little more cooperation and certainly assisted with the buy-in that we needed. So how did we utilize the 3 Ps? We planned. For our bank, I wanted to deploy the iPads so they were ready to go. Board members have other jobs and responsibilities, so to respect their other time commitments, I wanted us to start using it with everything loaded. We made our decisions. We purchased iPads for everyone and allowed those that already had one to use their own. We loaded the BoardPaq app on every iPad so it was ready to go. We used our bank credit card and Apple ID and drafted written step-by-step instructions on how to change it so we could walk them through it at the board meeting. In relation to security decisions, we required every iPad to have a password, and every user has their own password for the app. We decided to allow them to use it for their personal use as well as for BoardPaq. I know I've talked to some other financial institutions that have decided to purchase them for the board members and keep them at the financial institution. But with the security features embedded within the app and the other security features that we use, we decided part of the whole experience of BoardPaq was to be able to view the information prior to the day of the board meeting. So we wanted them to have that iPad with them. We updated our policies to reflect the new technology. We updated our vendor management logs, our information security program, and our disaster recovery plan. And we prepared. There were 4 of us initially involved, our CEO, our administrative assistant, the director of IT, and myself. We learned the system. We communicated to the many individuals at our bank that provide information for the board packet, how and where to store the information. We have a shared drive that employees drop the information into but cannot access any other confidential information within that file. Our administrative assistant then uploads the information from that shared drive into BoardPaq. No paper is transferred. No paper records are retained. We proceeded slowly. Although the system is easy to use, there is a training curve. We were on that paper-based system until the end of 2011. And in searching for the alternative, we looked at several other options to rid ourselves of that paper chase. And we implemented a secure web link that we purchased from our core processor to allow us to securely upload the documents. They review the documents prior to the meeting, then we display the information on a screen prior to the board meeting. And everything we complained about regarding that system, it was clunky, it was not user-friendly. The notes had to be taken to the board meeting on a separate piece of paper. It was very expensive. All of those things seem to be fixed, in our opinion, in BoardPaq. So when we chose BoardPaq, our plan, because some users tend to be a little impatient, I guess you could say at times, was to take our time with the implementation. In the first month, we uploaded board documents into BoardPaq, but we used the old system for the meeting. We provided the training of the iPad itself and BoardPaq with written notes provided. This included changing the iTunes user ID, which was important to us because when we had it loaded, it was on our bank credit card, so we didn't want the board members to go home and load all kinds of additional apps and music and have it be charged to our bank credit card. In month number 2, we were on the old system, but we also implemented BoardPaq. We continued to display everything on our screen, but they could use their iPads to view everything along with the old system. And in the 3rd month, we used only BoardPaq, but displayed the BoardPaq on the screen so the board members could follow along with us. And in the 4th month, we only used BoardPaq with no additional display, and they were all on their own and all did very well with the iPad. And in subsequent months thereafter, we eliminated the use of manual minutes and the usage, and we began to use BoardPaq for the minute preparation. Prior to this, our secretary of the board would handwrite everything that we needed for the minutes on a paper agenda. It would then go to our administrative assistant to develop the electronic minutes. She would draft, the CEO and I would edit, she would redraft, we would re-edit, and it would go back and forth. And now the agenda is built prior to the meeting. Items are noted by the secretary during the meeting, and we revise and complete our minutes shortly after the meeting is held. So the point to the slow implementation is what I said earlier. Going to a different delivery method can be a big change for some of them, so we decided to ease them into it. I know other financial institutions have just gone cold turkey and gone ahead and implemented it in the very first month and did very well. So it's going to have to be up to your institution and you trying to meet the needs of your existing users. So the last slide that I have is on cost savings. This is a very general slide on some things that we thought about and what we put together. Just the time in prepping our board packet prior to the implementation of BoardPaq. At the very minimum, we would spend a half a day just gathering the information, making sure it was sorted properly, copying the information, distributing it out, and all of that. Now, since our agenda is already built, we just use a template, we add the documents to it, and we're done within 30 minutes of starting that process. The toner and paper expense, for those of you that are on a paper board system now, or if you're considering using this for loan committee meetings or other committee meetings, you know the paper-intensive process that is involved, so you can imagine how much paper and just toner expense alone that you will save. The distribution of packets, like I said earlier, if you send board packets out prior to the start of the meeting, you have to consider the cost of distributing all of those things out, and the staff costs of just the time spent in prepping the board agenda and the board material and the minute taking after the meeting is held. So when you total all of that up, we certainly have a savings even after you weed out the cost of the iPad, which just helps us maximize shareholder value and allows all of the employees to concentrate on what they need to concentrate in our community bank. So with that, I am going to hand this over to Alan, who will discuss the security features embedded within BoardPaq.
All right, thank you so much, Luanne. I'd like to begin with a little bit of background. We first released BoardPaq in 2011, as was previously mentioned, and we based that on a combination of 3 game-changing technologies that really gelled just as we were getting started. The first was the cloud, not the personal cloud as a place for people to store their photos and music and blogs, but as a full-fledged platform for developing and running applications economically at cloud scale. Next was a new device form factor, ushered in by the iPad, and set to change many people's perception of computing, particularly mobile computing. Finally, there was the advent of modern browsers, starting with recent versions of Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Opera, and then joined by Microsoft when they released IE9 at the beginning of 2011. The modern browsers offer important advances in security and significantly more functionality through support for emerging standards. We won't discuss modern browsers further today, except to say that they are required for anyone logging into BoardPaq's Admin Center or web app from any device. This is the minimum requirement in order to be able to utilize BoardPaq. Let's turn our attention to the other 2 items. Microsoft opened Azure for commercial availability in 2010, after being available to developers in beta the year before. Azure is an early and major example of a new type of cloud, generally referred to as platform as a service, offering software developers like us various kinds of compute services, several forms of durable storage, and a number of other components needed to develop applications that run in the cloud. One of the keys to Azure is the software layer that Microsoft has developed to automate, manage, and monitor all aspects of the system, responding to provisioning requests for new services, detecting issues on deployed services, compartmentalizing failures, seamlessly moving workloads around, all facets of a concept called software-based resiliency. In Azure, the emphasis is on keeping the application running rather than keeping any particular hardware operating. In other words, redundancy isn't built into individual infrastructure components such as servers, disk drives, or network devices, but is based on the system knowing the status of all components and intelligently managing the distribution of the workload. Because of this, Azure provides applications running on its platform with levels of reliability and scalability at costs significantly below those of traditional data center or a hosting provider. Microsoft has an ongoing emphasis on economizations in power sources, cooling, power consumption, and hardware costs as it continually builds out its data centers across the globe. An example is modularity, or the containerization strategy they have employed. On the left is a picture inside part of a data center Microsoft built in the Chicago area as Azure was getting started. Here, shipping containers, like those you might see stacked on rail cars, are outfitted by suppliers with up to 2,500 servers in each self-contained, sealed package that can be positioned and plugged into power, data, and cooling. This particular facility occupies 707,000 square feet. That's roughly the equivalent of 15 football fields, so it is an enormous space. On the right, we can see how the containers concept has evolved to even be able to be placed outside in this more recent photo from 2012, showing a portion of a plant in Virginia. The point is that Microsoft continues to innovate to achieve higher and higher economies of scale. Now, it's understandable if you hadn't heard of Azure before today, but I'm pretty sure you know about the iPad. So let me touch on just a few points that relate to security. The first is knowing that you have installed a proper copy of the BoardPaq app, not one that is masquerading as our app and sending your data elsewhere. This is one of the assurances achieved by obtaining the app through Apple's App Store. The second point is the sandboxing feature of the iPad that makes the BoardPaq app the owner and sole app able to access any documents downloaded to it from the BoardPaq cloud services. Next is an option Apple provides that lets our app exclude those docs from any backups made to iCloud or a connected computer. This prevents inadvertent data leakage by way of backup copies. We always recommend requiring passcodes for your iPads, which enables a layer of device encryption, another layer of encryption for the documents in the BoardPaq app sandbox, and enables Apple's locator and remote wipe services for lost devices. Finally, if your organization wants to exercise more control over these devices, particularly if you own them, you can generate configuration profiles to install on each iPad to manage their settings. For example, to require passcodes. Continuing with the security theme, let's talk about compliance. BoardPaq operates within multiple levels of verified compliance. At the foundation, Microsoft makes a wide compliance portfolio for security and availability at the data center layer. Most important to us are the ISO 27001 and SOC audits, covering things like physical infrastructure, networking, access, disposal of assets, and a host of other similar details. Then, Microsoft maintains another full set of compliance audits, including ISO 27001 and SOC controls for security, availability, and confidentiality, covering the various detailed Azure services running in those data centers. Finally, BoardPaq has its own SOC security audit for the services it offers built upon the Azure platform. So security is a fundamental item for BoardPaq. We are in the midst of our annual SOC renewal right now. It's important to understand that BoardPaq is designed with security at its core, not something that is just simply bolted on. You've already seen options provided to adjust security as needed to fit organizational needs, but if you do nothing with them at all, they default to secure settings. In the case of user authentication, we provide a variety of settings to tailor handling of login credentials for your users. Important, particularly for banks, is the two-factor authentication option that provides a random token via text message to each user's cell phone as additional confirmation after they have successfully provided their credentials. This combines something they know with something they possess in order to authenticate. Just recently, one of our banking customers in the Boston area told us of the FDIC's insistence that they adopt this safeguard. No doubt others will be pressed with this requirement, which we cover very affordably. Of course, properly identifying the user is just the first step. Every specific action taken by each user is checked to ensure that that user is authorized to carry it out. This way, for example, users can only see information from the groups or committees of which they are members, and even then, only if they are currently in term within those groups. Or only those users possessing certain administrative roles can add different types of new information to the system. All of these factors are under your direct control to manage BoardPaq as you see fit within your organization, with logging available to monitor and verify your settings. BoardPaq only accepts secure connections through standard port 443 of your organization's firewall. This even applies to someone simply browsing our public website, but all the more to the communications between user devices of any type and BoardPaq's cloud-based online services. Your login credentials exchange, any data retrieved and displayed to you, any documents you download for viewing or that are uploaded for storage, literally all communications are protected by encryption during transit. Since your documents will contain most vital information to secure, let's put some of the concepts we've discussed together and look at the life cycle of documents. An admin will begin by selecting a document to upload to BoardPaq after properly logging into Admin Center. The document will be uploaded to BoardPaq in the cloud through a secure connection after verifying the user's role and authority to do so. Once received, BoardPaq applies AES 256 encryption using a unique key that is calculated for each customer account and never stored. This is done so that no one who isn't properly logged into your account retrieving the document through the BoardPaq app can decrypt and view the contents. The encrypted document is then recorded in durable storage in Azure. It's tied by a key that Microsoft provides to BoardPaq so that it can only be accessed by our services. At this point, Azure makes 6 independent copies in different fault zones divided between 2 separate data centers for fault tolerance and accessibility. Now a user requests one of those documents. That request is intercepted and is verified to be sure that this user is allowed to view this document at this time. If so, the BoardPaq service has the necessary key to access the encrypted doc in Azure storage. It generates a decryption key based on the account that the user is logged into and applies it to the document and sends the result back to the user's device over a secure connection. Assuming this is an iPad user with a passcode, the BoardPaq app copies the document into its own sandbox, and iOS keeps it separately encoded anytime the app is not running. Assuming that the decryption key was correct, the user is now viewing the contents of the document and may choose to delete it from the device at any time. Or the administrator may remove it from the device through policy options, or by unpublishing the meeting that contains the document, or by deleting the document from cloud storage. So, to summarize, BoardPaq provides up-to-date technology, audited security controls, and administrative oversight to manage your meetings and all facets of the data and documents surrounding them.
Thank you, Alan. So to review everything we've kind of summarized today, we want to recap that BoardPaq is a secure, affordable, and easy-to-use paperless meeting solution. Our goal here is to really help you plan, manage, and run your paperless board meetings effectively, while also empowering your board to be great. Now that you've seen everything here today and understand the benefits and security features, you might be wondering what's next. We highly recommend you contact us to schedule a one-on-one demo of BoardPaq for an in-depth look at the user perspective and all of Admin Center. And that's a great opportunity to involve others in your organization, maybe some folks from your IT department, even some board members. That way they can see the product, ask questions as we go along as well. After the demo, you'll receive a price quote and information about 15 days free of BoardPaq. And that is a great way to kind of test out the system, test out Admin Center, practice uploading information to see how easy it can be for your board. Now, to discuss a little bit about how much this costs, I want to describe BoardPaq's pricing. So we are a monthly subscription. As banks, you will fall under the standard edition. So each month you will pay $249 a month, which includes one user. So that is your base price. Additional users who are allowed to log in are $9 per month per user. I want to point out that is anyone allowed to log in. So whether they're an admin, director, staff, anyone you add to the directory is counted as a user. Now beyond that, there's no setup fees or startup fees, and support and training is included. Now with training sessions, I want to point out it is unlimited with your account. These sessions are not in person. We use screen share. So typically, WebEx or Join Me to provide these sessions. Now during training, this is for both admins or directors. These could be group sessions. Typically with the directors, it is a group session. With admins, it's more one-on-one. We will walk users through the user perspective, deal with troubleshooting, logging in, simple navigation of the app, how to make annotations, and so on. Same thing with admins. We will walk you through Admin Center, help you set up your account settings, and navigate you through each tab in that center. So during both those trainings, directors, admins can ask questions to make sure that everyone fully understands the product. Now, I want to point out again that is unlimited for the lifetime of your account. So as you might have, rollover or turnover on the board, they can always call us up and get trained. So as the years go by, you don't have to worry about supporting or training those new users yourself. Now, we've talked about two-factor authentication. This is an additional fee of $30 per month. Now, this is a flat rate regardless of how many users are allowed to log in. So each month, it's just the $30 per month fee. Now, here at BoardPaq, we are month to month. So there's no long-term contracts. We're always striving to earn your business each month. Now, for those on the call today, we do have a special ICBA webinar offer. Included in this offer will be 4 free users in your base price, plus free two-factor authentication. So that is going to be a savings of $66 a month, and that is for the lifetime of your account. So I want to point out that once you lock in your pricing, it is for the lifetime of your account. So current customers, are never affected by any price changes. Now, to lock in this offer, it does expire on April 30th, 2014. So you'll need to lock in your pricing on or before that date. Now, to recap a little bit on how you can schedule a demo, you can obviously visit our website. There's a schedule form there. Or you can email us directly at sales@boardpaq.com. When contacting us, please remember to enter your promo code ICBA Web. All right, well, that concludes everything for today. Now, we have had a bunch of questions come in, so I want to kind of take some time to answer those. You can continue sending questions in as well, but I also want to point out for everyone at the presentation today, you will be receiving a recording of the event. So you will get a copy of the recording. If you would like a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, you can email sales@BoardPaq as well. So a couple of the questions coming in. Just give me a second here to kind of look over. Looks like a few people are wondering, is there a fee or a limit on storage? So with your BoardPaq account, once again, you have unlimited storage. So there's no extra fee for that. Now, there is one thing we do restrict, and that is the individual file size of being uploaded. So each file needs to stay under 15 megabytes. But once again, you do have the unlimited storage. It looks like another question coming in, does BoardPaq work with other tablets? So currently we have the native iPad app. For all other devices, you will use the web version. Now, browsers supported, Internet Explorer 9 through 11, or the latest versions of Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Opera. Now, I do want to point out with BoardPaq's web version, it does have the same look and feel. So there's really no extra learning curve for users. However, there are two distinct differences. So with the web version, there is no offline mode. Also, the documents will open up outside of the program. So at that point, users can save or print. Now, we understand some of you might not want to allow those permissions. So web access is something that you can turn on or off for the entire account or override this for individuals. With the web app, your PDFs will not allow annotation. However, this is something that we are going to add in future releases. So that will be available. And once again, for all other devices, you will log in through the web version. All right, there's been a couple questions regarding what type of iPad is best. Now, BoardPaq does recommend iPad 2 or later and does require iOS 5 or later. I also want to point out that BoardPaq is compatible with the iPad mini. It does work perfectly fine. Now, most of our customers do purchase just the 16 gig iPad, and that is perfectly fine for normal BoardPaq usage. Now, if you are allowing board members to use this for their own personal use, photos, videos, you might want to take that into consideration when choosing the memory size. One person asked, how does training work? Once again, as I discussed, training sessions are via screen share, and that is unlimited for the lifetime of your account. We do offer those sessions for both admins and directors. We've had a couple questions regarding auditors. How do I show this information to auditors? Typically, you're not going to really give them access to the account. You can add them as a user if you'd like. But with BoardPaq's archive feature, this will easily allow you to accomplish that. So you'll just make a printed copy or, a PDF copy of this meeting using the archive button, and then the auditors will have access to that information. So you're giving them the file, which contains the minutes, the agenda, and your document. So we have another question here, a couple regarding file types supported by BoardPaq. We do recommend uploading everything as a PDF to allow the best functionality for your users. As you've seen from the iPad view, users have the ability to annotate the items. Now, we do still support other file types. You can upload Word docs, PowerPoints, Excel files, and so on. But once again, we do recommend PDFs for the annotation ability. So we've had a couple questions. Once again, where are these files located? BoardPaq has built everything on the cloud. So we use Microsoft Azure Data Center, as described by Alan earlier. And that information is stored there. So we don't maintain data centers here. We do use Microsoft Azure. Now, we've had a couple questions. I don't know if Luanne, you'd care to step in, but what type of iPads did you purchase for your group?
We purchased iPad 2s for all of our board members when we implemented BoardPaq at our loan meetings and our compliance meetings and other meetings that employees participate in. We use our laptops for those. So the board members receive the iPads, and at our loan meeting, one of the things I struggled with was, for those of you who are involved in loan meetings, you obviously have to read lots of financial information and try to make your loan decision based on the credit write-ups. So most of us use our laptops for the loan meetings through the web-based app. and at our board meetings, we use the iPad 2. One other person asked what internet we had for the boardroom. We just installed a wireless router in our boardroom that is only available during the time of the board meeting.
All right, so we've had a couple questions come in. How do we deal with last-minute changes? So once admins publish the meeting information, it is available to the users. Now, at any time, they can always change the agenda, reload new documents. So what kind of happens there with a reloaded document? Users will still have the original copy containing their notes. So once again, even if the director has added notes to a copy, hours or days before the meeting, the admin decides to reload a new version. So that will actually appear for users. They will have the new copy and the previous version containing their notes. So no longer have to worry about them losing that information. And once again, any changes you make, to the agenda, whether you're reordering the agenda items, adding new ones, or deleting them, those changes happen in real time for users. So once again, those last-minute changes have now become very simple. With those changes happening in real time, users will always see the most updated copy. Now, we had a question regarding, activity logs. What information can I see, that my users are doing? So basically in BoardPaq, admins have an activity log for logins. So within the directory, they have a log. They can see the last date and time a user's logged in and the meeting that they've accessed. Now, for each of your individual documents within the meeting and the library, you have a log as well. And so that is for the lifetime of the document. So anytime you look at that log, you will see the person's name and the last date and time that it was open. All right, so we've had a couple questions. What happens to my data if, a couple years down the road, we decide to maybe, leave BoardPaq? So basically, when you terminate your account, we do store that data for you for 90 days. And that is in case, maybe you decide, to come back to BoardPaq, we will have that data and you can reactivate the account. Now, if you'd like that data, deleted immediately, you can send us a written, notification of that as well. Now, once again, all of the data you've put into BoardPaq, everything you've created, your minutes, your agenda, your documents you've added, you can simply use that archive button to then export it and put it on your own computer. So from there, once again, you can print an archive copy or save it to your own server. All right, looks like we have another minute or two for some other questions. We have someone asking if we plan to develop an Android or Windows app in the near future. So once again, currently we have the native iPad app. For all other devices, it is the web version. Now down the road, this is something we have put into our plans. Not sure on the exact timing, but we will be, releasing an Android and Windows app as well. So someone asked about voice recognition during, recording minutes. Now, typically, depending on what type of iPad you have, I believe it's maybe an iPad 2 or later, when you're typing in BoardPaq, My Notes section and the keyboard pops up on the screen. Like I said, some iPads have the little microphone for voice dictation. So there you could actually, speak some dialogue. It will type notes for you. However, it's not going to record, a large number of notes or live meeting information. So that is typically tied to just that user, once again, using the voice dictation through the keyboard on the iPad. All right, someone asked if admins can delete documents after the board meeting. Now, typically, you won't want to do that. Within your admin center, you will maintain a record of everything you've created. So essentially, if you're worried about users seeing the information beyond the date of the board meeting, within our system, it's as easy as just unpublishing the information. So through the stage button, once the meeting has passed, you can unpublish the meeting, which will wipe all information from the offline mode on the iPad as well as the online version. So at that point, it does restrict access for the users. They can no longer see that meeting information. Now, once again, if you are unpublishing those meetings, you have a record of that in your admin center. So you're going to want to keep the meeting record there at all times so that you can always go back to previous months with previous meetings. If you need to, maybe republish that information or make an archive copy, at any time. One last question here. I know it is the top of the hour. Can the minutes be uploaded at a later date? So you can certainly do that. With our minutes builder, you can use that live meeting or type the information in later. The most important thing to note with your minutes builder, as you're typing that information, directors won't have access to it. So you can always go back in, clean things up, or maybe, copy and paste stuff in later. Directors will not see the draft of minutes, so you create the task in BoardPaq for them to approve. All right, well, that will conclude everything for the day. I know it is the top of the hour. Once again, I want to thank everyone for your time today. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Our contact information is once again on the screen. Our direct number here is 314-669-4745. We will continue to answer all of your questions that you've sent in. But once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.